Welcome, everyone. My name is Erica Grau, Director of Marketing at Rhinogram. Thank you for joining me today as Rhinogram and Acceptex Pro demonstrate how your practice can onboard new patients virtually. Let's meet our presenters. I am joined by Abby Gaddis, Director of Strategic Partners at Rhinogram, and Marla Merritt, Chief Marketing and Sales Officer at OrthoBank. Together, they will be presenting virtual consults and digital case acceptance. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. We will send out a recording of this live presentation out via email. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please ask them in the GoToWebinar control panel. We have saved time at the end to answer any questions and will be sure to follow up via email or phone call with any questions we don't get to.
Thanks, Erica, and thank you all for joining us. We're really excited to walk you through what this partnership will bring your practice, especially now that I'm sure most of you have focused a lot of your attention and energy around what our new normal will look like and how we can help digitize our practices to both attract new patients and treat the patients that we already work with. Rhinogram's team has been working with all of our clients to put new systems in place that will help them weather this storm and come out successful on the other end. So you must be thinking, or maybe you know by now, why digital care options are so very important to our orthodontic practices. But we believe at Rhinogram that this trend really started quite a while ago. And over the last several years, we've seen an increase in patients behaving more like consumers in the healthcare market. And patients prefer the convenience of digital treatment as much or more as their in-person options. And then now with the advent of COVID-19, we know that there is going to be a new normal in place in every practice where mitigating person-to-person contact is top of mind. And we believe that having a strong digital funnel offering virtual consultations either to qualify for treatment or to monitor treatment on an ongoing fashion will help to ease your patients' fears and help get new patients into your practice and into your office if necessary. We know here at Rhinogram that the best medium for virtual consults is just text message, which is why our platform allows you basically to text enable your main practice number so that patients don't have to learn anything new. We know that email has low open rates, and we know that voicemails also have a tendency to make us play games of phone tag, and it's really inconvenient for both parties. 4 out of 5 patients prefer texting, and so we make it very easy to do that and conduct your virtual consults that way as well. So this is how Rhinogram would set up your practice to get ready to offer virtual care options. The first thing that we'll do is text enable your main practice phone numbers. These are the phone numbers that the patient would typically call, and they'll be able to save those numbers in their phone and text them. And then we help you to go through all of the places where you advertise your phone number so that you can also advertise that that number is textable. If your practice has multiple phone numbers that patients call, we can text enable all of them. And what happens is your voice calls will continue to go where they normally go. We don't interrupt or touch any of that, but text messages will come into your compliant Rhinogram platform where your staff can monitor and be notified when new conversations come in. And the second thing we'll do is we'll set up a web form on that phone number so that patients can initiate their virtual consultation directly from your website. So if you have prospective patients who are visiting your site and they want to find out how much braces cost or if they qualify for a certain kind of treatment, they'll be able to click a button, fill out a form, and start that conversation with you conveniently. And then finally, we integrate with your social media outlets, especially your Facebook Messenger, application inside of your Facebook business page, so that anytime someone comes to your Facebook page to look at reviews or see what kind of services you offer or to see if your practice is open again, they'll be able to send you messages, and those messages will come straight into Rhinogram, which is really important because normally you would not want to conduct a virtual consult on Facebook or ask for any kind of EPHI, but because you're bringing those conversations into Rhinogram and protecting them, you are able to do that kind of conversation through Facebook. And here's just an example of some of the ways that our practices are promoting themselves via Facebook. On the right-hand side, you see kind of two traditional advertisements for virtual consults. One is specifically around clear aligners. The other one is around traditional braces. You can do virtual consults using Rhinogram for really any service that you offer. And on the left-hand side, you'll see a more recent ad that's focused around a special that this practice is running during COVID-19. So this practice is actually offering 20% off of any treatment, and the call to action here is to have a virtual consult so that you can see if you qualify. So it's really easy for patients to do this. Like I said, the patient doesn't have to download an app. They don't log into a portal. You're not asking them to learn anything new. They don't have to go to your website to do it. They don't have to load information into a form. They literally can just take those selfies on their phone and text message your office number, which means that you can do things like advertise virtual consults in print or other kinds of media. You don't have to drive all of your traffic to your website if you don't want to, but if people do visit your site, they can initiate that virtual consult from your site as well. And then once the patient sends the photos in, your office will receive them. And because of our smart message routing tool, you'll be able to assign the conversation along with all of the pictures that you collected to the right person in your office. That might be the orthodontist. In some cases, it might be a treatment coordinator. Whatever is the right workflow for you, Rhinogram is flexible. And that person will respond back and answer that patient's high-level questions. And usually those are things like, do I qualify for treatment? If so, what kind of treatment? How long does that treatment typically take in your office? And then you can answer other questions around whether or not the patient has insurance coverage, because they can take a picture of their insurance card and send it over to you. And then this is also a great time for you and your practice to interject the message around how wonderful you are. So a lot of practices think, and I hear feedback around, we want to be able to, we want the patient to be able to see what it's like to be in our practice, to experience our team members. And you can do just that inside of Rhinogram by sending them a warm welcome message, a video that introduces your team, to kind of transfer that normal interaction that you would have on an in-person basis into a digital medium. And then the doctor or TC would be able to give the patient some information around cost. And when the patient decides to move forward, they would begin the remote intake process, which is where AcceptX Pro comes in.
Thank you, Abby. My name is Marla Merritt. I'm the CMO for OrthoBank. OrthoBank has tools for the patient financial life cycle. And while we have other tools than the ones that you see on your screen, these are the three that have really been gaining the most attention during this COVID crisis, and even more as practices begin to open back up. So I'm going to be discussing quickly these three tools, AcceptX Pro, Breeze, and OrthoBank, and then we're going to move right into our demonstration portion. So let me talk about AcceptX Pro for a minute. AcceptX Pro is our treatment and fee presentation tool. I've got a couple screenshots on here, and again, you will see the full demo, but these screenshots just show you how you're able to present both treatment and fee options to the patient and responsible party remotely. And then they're able to move on to electronically sign your treatment agreements and also set up their payment plan directly through AcceptX Pro, and all of that being done remotely. So I'll show you how all that works in a minute, but I did just kind of want you to see the screenshots before we get into exactly the how of the setup. I also wanted to discuss Breeze for just a minute. Breeze is our point of care solution. Breeze allows you to accept single payments. So Breeze will allow in-office kind of swipe transactions, but it also does have, it's integrated, the integration into Rhinogram is coming very soon. I'm going to let Abby talk about that in just a minute. But what I want to point out about Breeze is that we have very competitive rates, and the customer service for Breeze is handled by the same team that manages OrthoBank. And, you know, we have a very strong customer service presence in the ortho and dental industry, so you can know that we're going to handle any issues that you have with the same care that OrthoBank is known for. And then we're also going to provide you with excellent rates. And we're also super excited to announce to this group today the integration between Breeze, our point of care solution, and Rhinogram. And I'm going to let Abby talk about that, how that portion will work for just a minute.
We are also very excited to be partnering with OrthoBank and the Pay with Breeze solution to deliver a text-to-pay solution to all who want to use it. And that tool in Rhinogram side is called Rhino Pay. And how that will integrate is it will allow you to connect Rhinogram with your Pay with Breeze account and deliver text-to-pay links to patients to collect on a balance. And in this example that we're walking through today, that balance is going to be the down payment for braces. So once you've conducted that virtual exam and aligned around the treatment options and the patient is elected to move forward with treatment digitally, you'll be able to hop into your Rhinogram account and send a text message to the patient. The text message looks like the one that you're seeing on the bottom of the screen here, and it will allow the patient to click a link and they'll be taken to a screen where they can enter their credit card or ACH information. This allows you to collect that payment digitally in a hands-free way without having the patient come to your office or use a point of sale system. They also won't have to log into any kind of portal to make the payment. So it's a very low barrier way to collect the payment. It saves on paper invoicing, and all the funds will be automatically deposited into your account like they are with any OrthoBank transaction. So we're very, very pleased to be able to make this available to you very soon. And the demonstration that we'll show today will show you exactly how it works.
Thank you, Abby. And now I want to also briefly mention OrthoBank's payment management solution. OrthoBank has been serving orthodontists and dentists for over 20 years. And the main solution, kind of our flagship product that we brought to this industry many years ago, is electronic payment drafting. So we draft the monthly patient payments from ACH, credit card, savings, pretty much any account. We're going to draft that monthly payment electronically. And then if the payment fails for any reason, we have a full team of care agents that will reach out to that responsible party and discuss when they can attempt that redraft. And then we also have a full responsible party portal where they can get receipts, they can make single payments, and they can also do a live chat. This option of us managing your monthly payments has become really important to the customers that are using this service during this COVID crisis, because we, as part of our disaster recovery plans, our agents were prepared to immediately begin working from home on our customers' behalf. So the practices that were using OrthoBank before all of this craziness, their payments were able to continue as scheduled. But then if a responsible party did need to call and just ask us questions about their payments, we were there to take those calls and to work with them. There were some that needed their payments deferred because of they didn't have a job. We were able to handle all of that on our customers' behalf. And we also have the responsible portal. We'll take a look at the next slide. This portal, the responsible can log in, they can check their balance, They can print their receipts from here. They can make extra payments. And then another really important feature from here is that they can do a live chat with an agent. So we've had during this time a lot of just conversations back and forth with a responsible party over chat in our responsible portal. So we're meeting the responsible where they live, where they need to either just interact with us on the computer, or if they need to reach out and call us, we're there to take those phone calls. And so that's going to continue to be very important as we move forward, when patients are not going to need to be in your practice for as long of a period of time. They can actually handle so much of the payment remotely via the electronic draft, via a chat with an agent, via a phone call to us, and let your staff focus just on treatment and providing exceptional care, and keeping your practice to clean and all of the things that you need to worry about. Let us worry about your payments. So that concludes the portion of us just kind of telling you about our services. Now we're going to jump directly into the demonstration. I think that Abby's going to take control now and show you how Rhinogram works.
So what you are looking at here is a Rhinogram account, and I'm logged into Rhinogram as if I were a staff member of this orthodontic practice. And like I said, we'll set up your practice so that your main phone numbers are textable. You have a web form that can be placed on your website, and we'll also integrate with your social media outlets so that no matter where you're advertising yourself, when a prospective patient reaches out to you, they will get to you from within your Rhinogram account. So to give you a lay of the land here, what we're looking at is your main reception inbox. On the left-hand side, I've got my navigation bar, and it's broken up into really 3 separate areas. The first is my tasks. So these are conversations, virtual consults, questions that are assigned to me as a person for follow-up. The second category here are patient messages, and we've got a few different inboxes for this practice. And this practice has a main reception inbox where they're fielding inbound communication to their practice, and then they can assign those conversations to the right place. And then finally, Rhinogram also offers a team chat tool that allows you to securely and compliantly communicate within your team, even if not all of you are in the practice, because it is a browser-based solution and you can access it from any internet-connected device, which means you can get it on your computer at work, your computer at home. You can even download our mobile applications for Android and iOS. And no matter where you're accessing Rhinogram, you will be notified when you get a new message. And you can see with this particular practice, we've got a new orthodontic prospect that's reached out. Looks like they texted in and they've asked us a question. Are you open? I'm interested in getting braces. So I think this is probably a really typical scenario that we'll start to see going forward. And as a practice, I've set up some templates to help us really quickly and reliably respond back to these folks when they have questions. So let's go ahead and access our template library. And we will go do that by clicking into Use Template. And I've set up a series of virtual consult request templates that allow us to quickly get information to this particular prospect that they want. So this basically says, and by the way, you all can set your workflow and your process and your templates up any way you like. This library is customizable, but we can give you a starting point. So basically what I'm doing is sending a response back to the patient, letting them know that we're texting here, and if they respond back with 3 selfies of their teeth, that we can get them up and running with a virtual consult with the doctor. So I'll go ahead and send that over, and you'll notice that because you can exchange images and documents across Rhinogram, this particular person has an example of the types of pictures we're looking to see automatically attached to that inbound communication. And as a patient, the patient is going to go back and take these 3 selfies and send them back into your practice. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm doing this in real time so that you all are able to see exactly what it's like for the patient to experience Rhinogram. Again, they're not downloading any apps, they're not logging into any portals, they're literally taking those pictures and sending them to you right in real time. So I've gone ahead and taken a picture and sent it in. And while we're waiting on that, I'll point out on the right-hand side, once these patients message back, our consent language here basically is saying if you send these pictures over, then you're consenting to using texting. Rhinogram helps you manage all of the consents that you need to manage from a communication perspective. So we do HIPAA consent management, payment consent management. So later on when we do make a Rhino Pay request, that will be important. Marketing consent management. And then the patient has a library of all of the images that have come in. And there we go. We've got a perfect little picture of the pictures that we asked the patient for. And at this point, as a receptionist, what I will do is I will assign this conversation into our virtual consult group here. So I'm going to search for them in my list of groups. I will select it. I can even add a private note. And I will assign it over. And what happens to the conversation is it has left my reception inbox. It's now living inside of my virtual consult inbox. And all of the team members who are watching this inbox will be able to see that there is a new message that's come in. And that is great because you don't have to be watching all day long. It's asynchronous. So you can evaluate these photos at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, in between other patient consults, or when you have free time throughout your workday. So the clinician will likely come in here because we've submitted those pictures. They can come in, or the receptionist can come in and grant the correct consents and update the preferences on the profile. And those will automatically mark that consent has been granted for all of those things. And then they'll be able to do things like click on the image, enlarge it, rotate it, and do whatever they need to do to make a good assessment. They can even respond back to the patient and ask for additional photos. And once they have come to a good understanding of what they'd like to say to the patient, they can use a templated message to respond. So I've set up a kind of response template here, and this basically says, thanks for looking these up or sending these over. Looks like we can give you the smile you've always dreamed of. Cases can typically be treated with clear aligners or traditional bases. Here's your time frame, and the average cost can be as low as whatever dollars per month you all charge at your practice. Would you like us to check and see if you have any insurance coverage for orthodontic care? Well, of course, the patient will respond back. The patient can even send you a picture of their insurance card, which is a great thing because it's always really tough to get that information over the phone. It's even difficult for folks who have a lot of experience with insurance cards. So when the patient sends that over, you can receive that picture front and back of their insurance card into Rhinogram and run it through whatever tool you're using to check. And then let's say the outcome was that they did have insurance coverage. Let's see, we've got an insurance coverage. Oh, this person has $1,500 of coverage for orthodontic treatment. And then the next step we'll ask them is, are you ready to take a look at your plan options and get started with treatment? And once the patient gives you that affirmative response, that's when you are going to go into your AcceptX Pro tool and start working through the treatment options. So let me turn it over to Marla here, and she will walk you through that.
Thank you, Abby. I'm going to take you through actually a little bit of the setup process for AcceptX Pro so you can get an idea of how that workflow would happen in your practice. So with AcceptX Pro, you're able to present more than one treatment option. So let's say you received those images and either Invisalign or traditional braces would work for this particular patient. You're able to select from treatments, and these are all customized to your practice. So your practice will set up what treatment options that you offer. You'll be able to set the number of months that you expect this case to be. You can also set up add-ons, and again, all of this is customized. So you may want your diagnostic records separated as a separate charge, but it is required, so you're able to do that. You may also offer an add-on such as Propel, and you're able to set that as optional. So once you've entered the treatment information, you're going to come over here to payment information. I want to point out that the images that we use to go along with the treatment offerings that treatment options that you're offering will be based on the age and gender of the patient. So this is a teen girl that's been chatting with you via text. So you come here and you are going to set up the treatment options. Then you're going to come here and set up the payment options. Your pricing can be based on level of difficulty, number of months, or however you price treatment. So it can be, just as simple as 1, 2, 3. Let's say that this is a very difficult case, and as Abby just mentioned, we have determined that insurance is actually going to pay $1,500. You're also able to assign any discounts. So if this is the second child that you've seen in that family, you can do perhaps a family discount, completely up to you. Additional discounts can be added on the fly, but then you also have in your settings the discounts that you would typically offer. You can also offer discounts for pay in full, high down, perhaps a bank draft discount, and all of that is set up in your settings. But let's say for some reason you don't want to do the high down or the bank draft discount on this patient, you can turn them off as you go. It also gives you the option to charge a finance fee if you want to offer them an extension of time. So this particular practice allows their payment months to run about 90% of treatment months. But let's say, because they've seen this family before, they're willing to go as many as 30 months for payment. But if they go beyond this 23rd month, they'd like to charge a finance fee. And the practice, again, completely determines this. And we just give you the mechanism to do that. So perhaps you want to charge a 3% finance fee if they go beyond this typical 23 months. This practice uses the default down of $750. That's where they're going to first see their payment options. Maybe because they've seen this family before, they don't want to use their practice minimum of $500, but they prefer to give them a minimum of $250 down. They can do that. Again, this practice is offering both Invisalign and traditional braces, so you would need to set up, if you're going to present more than one treatment option, you would need to set the payment information here too, which can be very easily done. This would be, they'd be getting the family discount on that one as well. And let's say you're not willing to let them go below $500 on that. You can or cannot charge the finance fee again and give them a higher number of months. So once you've set up the treatment information and the payment information, now I want to talk for a minute about what happens when you are back in your practice. Now, when you're speaking to a responsible party, in the case that they are able to sit there with you, when you present, you will either give them a tablet to view this presentation. You can share to a screen on the wall, or you can just turn your screen to have that conversation. And that's great for when your practice is reopened. But in the case that we're kind of the workflow that we're talking about now, where you've had this conversation remotely, and maybe they're not able to come into your practice, you can actually set up treatment information here and kind of talk to them about what Invisalign typically includes, what traditional braces traditionally includes. Your practice logo would be here. Marketing information about your practice. Again, this is all fully customizable. See that I have this records information to let them know that they will need to come in for their records. And so all of this can be presented as treatment options. This became quite more important recently. A lot of our practices, when they're presenting treatment options in the practice, they will go straight over to this payment details page for the conversation in the practice. But with COVID and them not being able to sit with the patients and review all this, the share feature has become very, very important for the treatment information. So by pressing share, they'll put in the email address of the responsible party, and then when they click share, the responsible party will actually get all of this information to view at home. So they'll be able to see the treatment information. They'll be able to move over here to the payment information. And then you can either have a virtual conversation with them over the phone, or if you have a meeting tool to use, and just kind of guide them through this, or it's simple enough for them to guide them through it themselves. So you'll see that the $750 is where it came in, but they do have some room to explore their options. So they can either use these, our smile adjusters, the sliding bars, or they can type an amount. So let's see, $250 is what I can afford down. And then that gives 23 months of $193 for their payments. Now, I did set this up where they could go beyond 23 months, but it's going to include a finance fee if they do that. So if they decide to go up to the maximum number of months, it will add $191 extra to their treatment costs, but will make their 30 monthly payments only $155. So again, they're able to explore all of this at home. They may decide that they don't want to pay that extra finance fee and pull it down to the 23 months. You'll see these records and consultation. This required fee is here, but they also have the optional add-on of a accelerated treatment. And so they may not want to pay $500, but if they see what it does to their monthly payment, they may be more willing to kind of accept that. So this is a good way to, if you have a Retainers for Life program that you typically try to, sell at the beginning of treatment, you can do that via this add-on. It also lets them explore their extra savings options. So they can see if they pay in full by cash or credit card, what that will do. Let's say they pay in full by credit card. It's going to give them a $140 discount, and this will be their investment right now. And so, using that Rhino Pay link that I'm going to let Abby show you in just a minute, they can pay this full amount or they can pay their down payment. So once they're ready, let's say they've decided, yes, I want Invisalign, and this is what insurance is going to pay. I'm going to pay $250 down, and then I'm going to have 23 monthly payments of $193. Again, all of this is within the practice parameters. So the practice has determined the minimum down payment, the maximum number of months, and now this responsible party is ready to accept treatment for the patient. Once they click accept, now remember they're viewing this on their own computer at home. It's going to allow them to continue to e-sign their forms. They could be viewing this at their home or in your practice, either one. So this works very well to get them to be able to electronically sign their forms, whether they're in your practice or at home. So once they've accepted treatment, they're going to agree to electronically sign the forms, and then all of your custom forms will come into here. So here's their financial agreement that they're going to sign with you. They'll be able to sign a media release if you have one of those. You can set it up to require initials or a signature. If you have any sort of appointment policy, they can electronically sign those and read up on those. If they're in the practice, you can review these forms with them as they electronically sign. If they're at home, they can take a minute to review it themselves. And once they've completed signing all the forms that you have presented to them for treatment, at that point, if they're at home, you will get a message that they have accepted treatment and that you'll be ready to schedule that first appointment. And then you're also going to need to collect that down payment. And so, Abby, are you going to, I think that we decided you would jump on here and show them how the Rhino Pay would work for the down payment at this point.
I think we've got it. I'm presenting. And so what we'll do is we'll hop right back into that same patient record in Rhinogram once they've signed their paperwork, and you'll be able to really conveniently collect that either initial down payment, or if the patient has elected to pay for their entire treatment up front, you can use Rhinogram to collect that as well. So here's how it works. We've got the doctor said, the patient wants to move forward with treatment. Let's get their paperwork sent over. Maybe they assign it to their billing team to collect that payment once the paperwork is signed. So we'll go ahead and assign the conversation over to that team so that they know to be on the lookout. And then once we're ready to go ahead and collect that down payment, what we'll do is hop back into the patient record here. And on the right-hand side in their profile, you're going to find a section that says balance due. And this is where the integration with Breeze comes into play, because what we'll be able to do is click in here and click request new payment. that's going to open up a window for the people on your team, and that will allow you to plug in that down payment amount or the full treatment amount. So in this case, let's pretend like this patient has gone with the $250 amount for their down payment, and we can put a note in here what this is for. So maybe we know that they're starting treatment tomorrow, so we can put that date in there as well. And then we'll click request payment. And what the patient will receive is a text message. So, you know, your practice's name is requesting a payment in the amount of X, and here's what it's for. And the patient will be able, or the responsible party rather, will be able to click this link, and it's going to take them to a page where they can complete the information to make the payment. So that could either be credit card information or ACH information. I know if you have an iPhone, this is super easy because there's a tool where you can just hold your iPhone over your credit card and it will suck up the information. And once it is paid, you will be able to see that in your Rhino Pay manager. So we will give you a dashboard that's linked to your Pay with Breeze account so that you can see all of the payment requests you've ever made. You'll notice my most recent request is up at the top. I can see the amount, the day I requested it, the note here. I can see that the status is sent, and once it's paid, I'll see the date that it's paid. And this allows you to collect that initial down payment from the patient, even if you haven't if they haven't come into the office yet. And also, I would just add that normally we might have patients that need to update their card information. Maybe they missed a payment because they had an expired card or what have you, or maybe you're charging for extra things like whitening, or you want to charge for a virtual consult for a retainer check. Those are all great reasons to use Rhino Pay in conjunction with the Breeze platform in general. It helps you save money on paper costs. It allows you to collect payments without needing the patient to come into the office and run their card or call your office and read the card details out, which is not ever a good thing to do. So this is a really great and convenient tool for you all and also for your patients. And once it's paid, you can hop back into that conversation, and either, if you want, you can put a secure note on there that says down payment received 512, and then you are good to go. And that kind of rounds out the entire workflow. And then the patient would be able to log into their Breeze portal and set up their ongoing payment plan for that monthly amount.
So if you are using OrthoBank for your payment management, then at this point, you can actually initiate a text to the responsible party that they will receive another email through AcceptText Pro, and they will be able to link directly here and continue to OrthoBank to set up that payment method. So this will be for the monthly recurring payment. And once they input that responsible party's name here and their account number, let's do a credit card instead. They will be able to enter their credit card and expiration date here, save it, and then it's going to allow them to continue to electronically sign the recurring payment plan form that OrthoBank needs signed to draft their monthly payment. So once that's loaded, they will agree to electronically sign that form as well. And then this just authorizes OrthoBank to draft that monthly payment. And then once that signature has been clicked to sign, then we will receive notification. It will automatically activate that account. We'll begin drafting that payment each month. And then if the payment fails for any reason, we'll contact the responsible party, set up the next draft. They'll receive the link to the responsible portal where they can check their balance and make extra payments on that recurring payment. Or, you know, if they've ordered something else, of course, you can send that link to them through Rhino Pay. So that also, you know, this AcceptText Pro tool does allow them to remotely set up their monthly payment option as well. So I wanted to show you how that works in AcceptText Pro. And also in AcceptText Pro, your treatment coordinator is able to view their dashboard and see what sort of pending tasks they have. So they maybe need to contact the responsible party because no action has been taken. And so they could use this. This would be the list of people who have been shared a presentation, but they haven't yet accepted. And then they could, quickly jump into Rhinogram and send a text, notice that you haven't opened your presentation yet, do you have any questions, and have that conversation. So, so I'd love to, that's kind of an abbreviated demonstration. We'd love to show you more about the dashboard and the reporting that's available for AcceptText Pro, but I think we're going to open this up for questions now.
All right, guys, it looks like we have just around 15 minutes for questions. So if you're looking at your go-to webinar control panel, feel free to type in any questions here. I've also included on this screen the best emails. If you have a question for Abby, if you have a question for Marla, please feel free to directly reach out to them here. So let's see. Abby, we have a question for you. Does each staff member have a Rhinogram dashboard?
Yes, so each one of your team members is going to have an account they can log into, and they'll be able to see the appropriate inboxes for them. So we have an amazing customer success team that will meet with you when you sign up for Rhinogram and really try to understand what you want that workflow to look like. They'll also hopefully be able to make some recommendations so that you're super successful with it. And then each staff member will have a customized dashboard and be notified about the messages that are relevant to them. So if I'm a treatment coordinator, I'm going to get notified about any kind of treatment related messages. If I am a billing person, anything that comes into that billing inbox, I'll be notified about. We support desktop notifications, push notifications on your phone, and in-browser notifications, in addition to that badge count that you saw, so that no matter where you are or what screen you're looking at, you'll always know when you have new patients requesting virtual consults.
Great. We have another question for you, Abby. Can you explain how you guys are HIPAA compliant?
Definitely, yeah. So there's two key components to HIPAA compliance when it comes to this kind of patient communication. The first and really important one is that all of your team is logging into a compliant, secure, password-protected portal, and that you are encrypting and storing all of the conversation records that you have with patients in a safe way. That's what Rhinogram offers. We have an audit log that audits every time those records are accessed so that you're compliant with all of that. And then the second component to that is, as a practice and as a patient, you have the right to communicate with your healthcare providers in the way that you prefer. But the covered entity or the practice's responsibility is to get your consent. So that's why Rhinogram's built-in HIPAA consent mechanism, which I showed you, is the perfect tool, because you can quickly and easily get that consent, whether they enter through the web form or you shoot them a quick text message to ask them for consent. And once you document it in their record, you're good to go. So once you have both of those bases covered, you are a compliant, you have a compliant workflow. So that's how Rhinogram helps support your practice in being compliant.
All right, Marla, we have a question for you. If a patient is looking at their email on their mobile device, will they be able to interact with the slider on the mobile device?
Yes, they can view it and interact with the slider on their mobile device. It's not as clean. It's better if they can use it on their computer or a tablet to give them a little more space. It's quite a bit of information there, but it is mobile responsive.
Great. We have a question here. Will I be able to get a copy of this? Yes, we will record this presentation and send it out to everyone via email. So if you need to share this with someone on your team who may have missed this live event, don't worry, we will send you the link. All right, Abby, it looks like we have a question. Where or when in Rhinogram do we gain the patient's health history and general information? How does that integrate with our management software?
Rhinogram integrates with most practice management systems, and that integration works by syncing up demographic and appointment related information. But until someone becomes a patient and actually is entered into the practice management system, the majority of your communication is going to happen through Rhinogram, right? So we would ask for that health history the same way that we'd ask a patient for it on the phone or in the office. We'd simply ask them. And the beauty of Rhinogram is, in addition to those templated messages I showed you, you can definitely ask any other kind of ad hoc questions that you have as well. And the purpose of getting the patient in a virtual consult scenario is really to engage them in their home, give them something to do from the comfort of their home that can really make them believe in the convenience and level of service of your practice. Give them the information that they need up front. And then once you get them into your office and get them scheduled for that in-person exam, you're going to do those other things like do your x-rays and your scans, check their perio status, acquire any additional data you need to solidify that treatment plan. So it's a really good way to get a head start on all of that, but it's mostly a marketing tool to kind of capture that audience and get them into your practice to do those scans or x-rays. And the great thing is that if you have done the virtual consult before the patient ever steps foot in your door, you've aligned around finance and terms and all of that good stuff, then by the time the patient gets to your practice and is having that chair consult, they're a same day start. They're already ready to get started with treatment and they know exactly what they're getting with you and your practice. So it's a really great way to increase your conversion rates. Don't waste time with unqualified patients in the chair and get those most qualified people to come into your office for those appointments.
Great. I actually see quite a few integration questions. So what we'll do is we'll answer those offline and we can walk you through exactly how those specific integrations, what those look like. We have a question. Can Marla show us a dashboard of all patient activity, patients that are needing action or waiting acceptance?
Okay, so this is the AcceptText Pro dashboard, and the way that AcceptText Pro works is everything is filtered by the task. So this contact responsible party, no action is taken, that will come up as a task if they have not opened the presentation or responded to the presentation within 5 days. So that will become the task, contact the responsible party. Once they've accepted treatment, but let's say that they didn't, they've accepted treatment and signed your forms, but you haven't yet set up that first appointment and payment date, that will become the task. So you can actually go to your taskbar and filter by the types of tasks, and it will create tasks. So once you've set up that first appointment and payment date, if they don't immediately set up their payment methods, then you'll have a list of those who you need to reach out to them and get their payment method. This is a demo. Sorry, we a lot of times end it before that payment method. So you can actually just filter by the task that you have. So anything that needs to be done will come up in this task manager, and you'll just, I think the best way to do it is just to go through each task and make your phone calls or send your Rhinogram text based on the specific task and just hit all of those within that bucket at one time each day.
And I would just also add that Rhinogram has a great tool called Rhino Blast that you can use to build a list of folks that's in each one of those task buckets or categories. And you can actually blast out a personalized message to all of your contacts on the list at the same time, which is great. So it can have their name in it and your name in it and make it feel really personal, but it's also a big time saver because you're messaging everyone at once.
Awesome. Abby, we have a question for you. How soon will the Rhino Pay be available? We are looking into getting Rhinogram very soon.
Well, first of all, that's great news. I'm so glad to hear that you're going to be joining the herd. We are targeting just a couple weeks here for that. So by the time that you get set up on Rhinogram and trained and we get you signed up for Breeze, then it should probably be ready for you. And so your salesperson will be able to kind of walk you through what that looks like and give you more information. But if you're ready to get going now, let's get the process started. And once it's ready, we'll be able to turn it on for you.
Awesome. Okay, Abby, another question for you. Can Rhinogram be added to our current website for texting ability?
Definitely. Rhinogram's compatible with any website, any phone system, and we do it in a couple of different ways. So one of the really common ways that practices will advertise the texting capability is just to make a small change on their site, and next to the phone number, instead of just having their phone number, they say text us at whatever your phone number is. The other way, like I mentioned, is our web form, which is just a small snippet of code, and you can embed that anywhere you like on your site. Most of you are working with a website developer, and we'll give you that snippet of code. It'll be customized to the look and feel of your site, and you'll be able to get it up and running in really little to no time at all.
Quite a few Rhinogram questions, Abby. So if your practice phone number is already being used with another communication software, what number can be used for the chat with Rhinogram platform for two-way communication?
Another great, you all are full of great questions today. We usually recommend that you use your main office phone line for your Rhinogram texting, because patients will want to message you about other things. Once they get into treatment with you, it's just a really convenient way for them to do things like reschedule appointments or ask questions or tell you about maybe fabrication issues with their trays or whatever the case is. If you're using the phone number with another system, you have a couple of options. One option would be to ask that other system to give you a different phone number, and Rhinogram could then take control of your main line. And that's what we really recommend you do, because that main phone number is the one that you want to be able to have these conversational type texts on. If you really are wanting to keep your main phone number with your other vendor, then Rhinogram can give you a phone number with your area code for you to use for texting in Rhinogram, and forward any voice calls to your main line so that they go into that normal queue. So we are flexible. We'll work with you on that setup. And we have not come across a scenario that we cannot solve.
Awesome. We have a good question here. What happens if you have to refund a payment?
That just depends on the payment. So if it's a down payment, what we typically do is we've already collected and funded you. So the refund would come from the practice. So, you know, what typically happens is once we've drafted that payment, you now have the funds. So we can do a refund. We charge the practice for that if we have to somehow pull the funds back from you and kind of do that. But we recommend that the practice just handle the refund after, because we've already funded you.
Perfect, Marlo. We have another question for you. Is the AcceptText Pro auto draft form only for starts, or can they go back to that sign to increase payments? Example, a patient's insurance terminates and we increase their OB payments, but they still need a new form to sign.
Yes. So once you have a patient set up for OrthoBank to manage their monthly payments, you will be able to make changes to the payment information online. So the practice can actually log into OrthoBank and raise the monthly payment amount, decrease the monthly payment amount, raise the treatment balance still due. You can do all of that remotely. The only time that we need a new signature for the drafting is if you have increased the payment amount. And so if you do that, if you go to our portal and increase their payment amount, it's going to say, we need a new signature, and you'll be able to launch that form to be emailed to them, and they'll be able to electronically sign the new form for the increased payment amount. If all you're doing is increasing the balance but not the payment amount, then we do not need a new signature, because our agreement with them is that we're drafting a certain payment amount until the balance is zero.
Awesome. Marla, another question for you. Does the office have to pay a fee to have the deposit refunded?
Yes. If we have already funded you the payment and then we have to handle reversing, pulling the money back from your account and then depositing, we do charge a fee, and I'm unsure exactly what that fee is, so we can discuss that offline as well.
We have quite a few comments asking about price. What we'll do is we'll have a representative follow up with you guys, and we can talk pricing offline. As I mentioned, if we didn't get to your question during this live event, we will follow up via email or phone call to make sure all of your questions go answered. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.